Hello! How are you today? Are you ready to see how advanced your listening skills are?
You're watching
Real English
with
Real Teachers.
Real Teachers.
This isn't just a simple listening exercise. No, this is an exercise that you can use to help improve your speaking skills.
What? I can't believe it. Speaking and listening.
From watching one video? I know, right? I know. This very, very simple idea came out of speaking with a student about her partner, who is also a non-native English speaker. And you see, her partner is actually rather clever, and he's a keen learner, and he wants to progress fast with his English, and he puts time and effort into improving. And yet, when he speaks English, he often gets tongue-tied, meaning his words get confused and the sentence doesn't make much sense in the new language, which is English. And I've seen this happen with previous students. And after speaking with his partner, she believes this is because he's trying to be too clever with the new language, English. And just like my previous students that I've seen do this, when you try too hard to sound clever in a new language, what we often do is we lean on our native language or another language that we are proficient in to structure these more advanced thoughts of ours. And this is where it gets us in trouble, because the structure of a complex sentence in our native language is obviously going to be different to the complex sentence structure of the new language, unless these languages overlap loads. Like, I know Italian and Spanish overlap, and Spanish and Portuguese, but I still think this is totally true for those, but certainly for Portuguese to English, and this is the example that I'm talking about. So if we internally create our thoughts using our native language, again, let's use Portuguese, and then try to turn it into the new language, in this instance English, the end result is English words and phrases put together around a complex sentence structure based on Portuguese. I like to think of your native language as a skyscraper that you have built with your own hands from, all these years of exposure to it and using it personally. And yeah, you've built a very, very impressive skyscraper. It's lovely, it's elegant, and it's tall. It's very tall, very nice. And then your new language is this new 10-story high building. It's definitely got potential to be a skyscraper, but it really isn't as tall as your skyscraper. And what I've seen some of my students try all too often when I ask them a conversational question is they just try to jump from the top of the skyscraper to hopefully land on the new but much shorter building. Meaning they are thinking in really complex ways in their native language and then hoping that the English will come together as they speak their thoughts, which most often leads to an awkward silence for me because I'm confused, and in the metaphor, you're dead because you've just fallen a great height. So it just doesn't make sense to do that. What we need to do in forming sentences in a new language, and again, this is really simple, but it's probably a good reminder for you, is to build from the ground up, meaning you take the lift down from your skyscraper, walk along over to the less impressive building, and then walk up the stairs. Don't take the lift. No. Take the stairs up. Now, this is less dramatic, less interesting, and the hardest thing is feeling like you look stupid or simple because your level of understanding of the new language is simple in comparison to your native language and the thoughts that you were having. But the sooner we accept looking basic in this new language, even though you are already at perhaps an intermediate level, the sooner you accept that you might look stupid, the sooner you can start building that next floor on the 10-story building. So try to let go of your complex native thoughts that I know you have. And if your listener doesn't respect that you are using a new language and that you do have more sophisticated thoughts than what your current vocabulary allows you to show them, then they are the stupid, narrow-minded idiots that don't deserve your concern or worry that you're looking simple. So don't be embarrassed to sound simple. It's your way to building that new skyscraper. And in this video, I'm going to give you an example of how to build that next floor from the bottom up by telling you a story in a very simple way, then adding more to it each time I tell you it. And I'll do this 3 times to match intermediate, upper intermediate, and an advanced level of English. And I believe that if you focus on doing this exercise in writing or speaking, then you'll be helping your English brain to build from the ground up rather than borrowing from your native language. So, let me tell you about this video's sponsor, which is pretty relevant to this video, and then we'll get to the exercise, which is italki. And they have a new language challenge coming very soon, these dates. That means students can actually win credits and earn certifications. If you've never heard of the website, italki is an easy to use, convenient platform which has helped over 5 million language learners like you to connect with highly skilled native teachers from all over the world. Whatever your goals are, whatever your level is, and however big or small your wallet is, italki has the right teacher for you because there are literally thousands of native teachers who are providing fun, personalized lessons online. And unbelievably, some of these teachers are charging as little as $10 to $15 an hour for one-to-one private classes, which is really very good. So if you want to reach fluency in English or any other language, but you have a busy schedule, we highly recommend that you check out italki.com. And the icing on the cake is that because we are partners with italki, we have been able to get you $10 worth of italki credits after you sign up for your first lesson. So enjoy this video, learn all the new vocabulary we're about to give you, and then sign up with the link in the description box below this video to get that free private lesson with a tutor like me, because I'm actually on there, and practice all the vocabulary. Hey! Let's get back to the video. Okay, so as I said, this exercise, you try to build a story. Start simple and then go more advanced and more advanced. This can be a totally imaginary story. The importance is focusing on expanding the vocabulary. It doesn't matter about what the story is. You can work out if my story is real or not. How about that? So round 1, intermediate level. Here we go.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Last week, I went for a walk near the water to get a photo of the Opera House in Sydney. It was hot, so I wore shorts and a t-shirt. After I got there, I saw that my camera battery was empty, but I remembered to bring the battery charger. So all I needed was to charge it. So I went into a phone shop and asked if they could help. I told them this big story to show how important the photo was for me, and so they actually let me charge it. When I was in the shop, a woman came in with a gun and started speaking loudly to the person working there, saying about her broken phone. The guy tried to tell her to stop, but she was angry and she shot the gun. Everyone ran, but I didn't because I was trapped. I then made a noise. She heard it and saw me. She saw my camera and thought I had a photo of her doing this. So she tried to shoot me. But the gun didn't work, and then someone pushed her onto the floor. I then got the wire and tied her hands with it. We rang the police. They came and said she was from prison. I went home to tell my girlfriend about it and realised I didn't bring my camera back. The end. All right, round 2, upper intermediate. So it's the same story, but just building on it. And this is what I want you to do on your own or with somebody else. You can write it or speak it. Round 2.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
The other day, I went for a walk down by the harbour to hopefully get a nice photo of the Opera House here in Sydney. It was pretty hot out, so I just went in shorts and a t-shirt. But after getting there, I realised that my camera battery was flat. Luckily, I had remembered to bring the charger, so all I needed was to plug it in. So I took a detour and went into a phone shop and tried to get them to charge it for me. I gave them this ridiculous story of how this photo was super important to me, and thankfully they bought my story and let me charge the camera. What's going to happen next, eh? Oh. While I was in there, a woman came in and out of nowhere she pulled a gun out and started yelling at the phone shop representatives for selling her a faulty phone. The guy tried to calm her down, but she was incredibly angry and the gun went off. Everyone quickly ran away, apart from me, because I was stuck there at the back of the shop. And then I panicked and dropped something, and then she turned on me. She saw my camera and putting 2 and 2 together, she assumed I was an eyewitness with evidence of her crime. So she pointed the gun at me and shot. Luckily, the gun backfired and someone wrestled her to the ground. I then used the wire from the charger to tie her up, and we rang the police, who showed up a couple of minutes later saying that she had escaped from prison. I rushed back home to tell my girlfriend about the horrific event and realised I had forgotten my camera. The end. Okay, so hopefully you noticed that I'm adding detail to the story, and the point of this is, of course, at the beginning I still gave you all of the information required and you understood me. We communicated effectively because I let go of my pride and I just told you the basics, the simple language that I had available to me because I had suddenly forgotten my own language. So that last one was upper intermediate. Now let's go advanced. We're not going to do C2, we're going to do C1. So like not super advanced, just advanced. But C1, often natives are quite lazy with their language. So often C1 vocabulary is what a native would use. It's just some of the colloquialisms will be missed out in a C1 answer. And there might be some errors. But anyway, so there's no errors in this. I don't think. Do tell me if there are. All right, so the last one, the advanced level of this story. Let's give it a go. Round 3, advanced. Advanced.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
The other day, I went for a stroll down by the harbour in hope of getting the perfect photo of the Opera House at sunset here in Sydney. It was pretty hot out, so I just whacked on a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. But upon getting there, I frustratingly realised that my camera battery was dead. Luckily, I had had the foresight to remember to bring the charger. So all I needed was a plug. I took a detour and walked into a phone shop and tried to wangle my way into charging the camera battery. I launched into this elaborate story of how this photo that I was keen to capture was an absolute must for me to get, and thankfully they succumbed to my desperation and let me go around back and plug the battery into one of their spare sockets. That's not a euphemism. While I was in there though, this rather bizarre looking woman entered the shop through the front entrance, and I could just tell that there was something off about her. And then, as she approached one of the salesmen, out of nowhere, she yielded a gun and started yelling at the top of her voice at this poor phone shop representative for hoodwinking her into buying this dodgy phone or this phone contract or something. The guy instantly panicked, but then tried to calm her down by talking to her rationally, but she was having none of it. She was absolutely irate with rage, and then, I'm not sure if it was by accident or on purpose, but the gun went off. And naturally, everyone scarpered out of the shop, apart from me, because I was stuck in the back room. Then, out of panic, I dropped whatever I was holding, which caused her to turn on me. She saw my camera, and putting two and two together, she assumed I was an eyewitness with evidence of her crime. So she raised the gun and started threatening me to delete the picture that I had apparently taken of her. And I was like petrified, so I couldn't really explain my situation and that I wasn't out to get her, but she was having none of it. And then she tried to shoot me. Luckily though, the gun backfired and someone wrestled her to the ground. I then used the wire from the charger to tie her hands behind her back, and we called 999. Or here in Oz, I think it's 000. Anyway, the police showed up not long after having rung them, and they told us that she was an escaped prisoner and that she had been on the run for 48 hours. Oh, drama. They let us go, and I rushed back home to tell my girlfriend all about the horrific event and realised I'd only gone and forgotten to pick up my camera. The end. All right, there we go. So that was the story in 3 levels, from intermediate to upper intermediate, and then the last one was an advanced level. The language I used was expanding on the basic sentence at the beginning. Sometimes I added a bit more detail that you probably couldn't tell from the original, but generally you got the understanding of the story in the basic one. And that's what you want to do in this exercise. So write the basic story and then just trying to build and build the story in your English thoughts. Okay, so try to stay away from using your very advanced, I know your native thoughts are very complex, but try to leave them aside and build from the ground up. I hope that was useful for you. Let me know how you go. Give me an example in the comments. Give me the intermediate, the upper intermediate, and if you can, an advanced version of your story. I'd love to see it. All right, that's all from me today. Hope you enjoyed it. See you again soon on Real English with Real Teachers. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram to get more day-to-day posts and stories helping you learn English in more dynamic and interactive ways.